All right, hey guys, J-Man here. I got Sean and Steve with me, and today we're going to be talking about the Star Wars sequel trilogy and whether we think it should be erased from canon, existence, time, space, universe, everything. Okay, I think I want to start this off by doing a 12 Angry Men. Just a yes, it should be erased, or no, it should not be erased, and then we'll get into it. Does that sound good?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, all right. So I guess we'll start with Sean. Should it be erased?
Hell no.
Steven, should it be erased?
No, not at all.
Okay, I'm a no as well.
What the hell?
I'm also a hell no. Okay, so Sean, why should it not be erased?
Because we've seen it, the damage is done. I mean, and one of the actors is dead now. Like, how are you supposed to bring it back to what we want? I want to see Luke Skywalker be the hero that he was supposed to be. I want to see Han Solo progress beyond just being a scoundrel, and in the case of the sequels, being a scoundrel to the point where he's the same exact character with the same exact pants and pistol and everything, while he had a son. I want to see progression. We can't see that anymore. Harrison Ford isn't going to come back. Mark Hamill is getting on in years. Carrie Fisher is now dead. There's no way to undo any of this. So the sequel trilogy is the sequel trilogy. That's the sequel to the Star Wars movies. If you're a hardcore Star Wars fan, then maybe you see the Thrawn trilogy as the real 7, 8, 9. And that's fine. That's there for you to do. The only way to really erase things, the only reason to erase anything is to show something new. And you can't do that anymore. You could probably do that with animated, but that's not what I wanted to see. You had a chance to do it. You did it. It's done. Damage done. That's it. I'm a big fan of moving forward. I mean, I know you guys love Star Trek, the motion picture, but a lot of people didn't. And so with Star Trek 2, they went in a different direction. They didn't erase Star Trek the motion picture. They just had a new tone and a new attitude. And then they went on to another 13 movies. But yeah, I'm a fan of that. Go forward with Star Wars. It's like the damage is done. You can retcon things perhaps. Or you can tell different stories with Luke Skywalker that show, like, maybe in amongst the time before that to show what we wanted, but don't erase it. It gets way too complicated doing that.
All right, Steve, why should it not be erased?
Well, two things. First of all, I'm not a big fan, again, I think, Sean, of erasing things. I think it's important that we look at these movies and understand what took place in them, because there's a lot of the cancel culture is like, oh, just get rid of it. But to me, it's important to keep this stuff around as reminders of, like, what happened. Like, you learn from history. And I think we have to learn from these sequels and learn what not to do. That's number one. Number two is that I'm going to draw to, like, everyone hated the prequels, right? Everyone, oh, the prequels suck, all the actors suck, the dialogue sucked, everything sucked. And then we had Clone Wars, the TV show, which actually made the live action prequels better, in my opinion, because it really fleshed things out. You have the opportunity to make the sequels better. Like, you can make something that will make something out of this show of crap. I don't like removing things. I agree with Sean. They exist. We know they exist. Removing them from existence or our memories doesn't mean it's gone, right?
Yeah.
Everything that has ever been made exists in some form or another. So take it, run with it, and make something better based off of it.
Yeah, okay. So you guys have basically said you both exactly what I was thinking. Number one, when the prequels came out, everyone barfed. I want to do on topic but slightly off topic. I'm tired of this. Now the sequels are the best thing ever because this new one sucks. No. I was there from the beginning. Everyone barfed in the theater. They said it was boring as piss. They hated it. I had an argument with the guy about episode 3 where he's like, well, episode 3 was pretty good. I was like, no, it's not. It's stupid. It's like, he's like, no. It's like that whole thing was dumb. The turning was horrendously garbage. It didn't make it better. These movies didn't make it better. It's like, okay, so what happened is that time passed. There was no other Star Wars things around, right? And we kind of warmed up a little bit to, well, you know, the midichlorians, that's dumb, but they kind of dropped that after part 1, and things got a little bit better, and we didn't mind it. And then we started looking at, like, yeah, Obi-Wan was kind of cool. He was neat, you know, and, you know, I like Count Dooku, Christopher Lee, he was pretty sick, you know. Yoda fought, that was kind of cool, right? You know, seeing Yoda fight. Part 3 had some neat stuff. Grievous was kind of cool, you know. And then you start seeing Clone Wars, which I haven't watched yet, fail on my part, but we're talking about live action Star Wars. I do own it all on Blu-ray, so there you go. But it's like, people watch Clone Wars, they're like, yeah, you know, this is, you know, the prequels aren't too bad. And then all of a sudden, you know, the prequels, they're not that bad. They've got their flaws, but they're not that bad. Oh, this new sequel trilogy, barf. Oh, I hate it so much. It's a piece of shit garbage. Rey sucks ass. I can't stand her. She's garbage. Guys, this is the same shit we said on the prequels. And we could do a whole nother podcast on who ruined Star Wars. I can name who ruined Star Wars. George Lucas.
George Lucas.
Yes,
You know how he ruined Star Wars? Because he took the original trilogy, which was perfect, and altered it digitally and changed scenes. That is actually taking your childhood movies and literally changing your childhood. Look, you don't like the prequels? I know how you can fix the prequels. Don't watch them. Right? You know how you fix the sequel trilogy? You don't watch it. Do you know how you fix the original trilogy? You can't, because you don't have the fucking Blu-ray versions that are 7.1 surround sound. You don't have those. You know, it's like, if you don't like Back to the Future Part 2, just watch Back to the Future Part 1, remastered, you know, Blu-ray, widescreen, proper format, perfect quality, 7.1 surround. I can throw it in right now. You can't do that with the original trilogy. You have to get Adi-Wan or some nerd on the computer who can do what the studios and Lucas doesn't want to do, which is give me the fucking, I know we weren't supposed to swear, but I'm swearing, give me the fucking real movies.
It's Star Wars,
Give me the real Star Wars fucking movies that I want. That's it. Not the George Lucas versions later. He's the only one that officially ruined the real Star Wars. This other fan fiction crap, if you like it, you like it. I like Rey. I have a Rey shelf. I like Daisy Ridley. I like Rey. Do I like her because she had some big character moments? I don't know. I thought she was cool. I like her yellow lightsaber at the end. They can do something with her and fix it, but they won't because everyone is so pissed off over it. I watch these new movies. I watch Force Awakens. You know, I said it sucked. That's it. It sucks. Han Solo died like a loser. Now I can continue with this or not. So for me, I skip Force Awakens every time. I just watch I watch Rise of Skywalker. Yeah, the Emperor's back. Okay, well, the bad guy didn't really die. Gee, that's never happened in any other form of media that we've ever seen in anything ever in our lives. Anytime a bad guy's been killed, he's stayed dead, right? Except for every Marvel character in any DC character ever. So he came back. Him coming back fixed the problems, right? Because now Rey, well, she's his.
It didn't fix anything, man. It ruined Return of the Jedi and it ruined the original. It's like, what's the story of the original trilogy now?
But you just ignore it.
What's the story of the original trilogy? That everyone makes sacrifices in Return of the Jedi for nothing?
I know, but what's the sacrifice of Jean Grey dying in Dark Phoenix and she comes back and she's resurrected, right? Everyone, like, this is the thing that happens. So again, if you don't like it, don't read X-Men, whatever, number 138 and on, or whatever, right? Like, this is what I'm saying. The sequels, don't watch them, right? It's don't watch it. But going back and trying to change it now is just going to make it, as Rise of Skywalker did, it went back to try to fix things and say, no, she was as great. And it just made it even more weird.
Worse, yeah.
So just continue on.
I think they should like do media on some of the characters. Like that's what Clone Wars did, and it made us like some of the characters in those terrible prequels. But like I like the Poe Dameron comic. They canceled it, but for a while it was the only modern trilogy thing out there, because all the other comics they were issuing were like just after Return of the Jedi or around the time of Star Wars and stuff, like the
Right.
original trilogy. If they did more stuff on Poe and Rey and Finn and stuff, I'd consume it. I'd read it just to get to more a feel of these characters and other adventures. You know.
Yeah, they ruined Finn, who had who was the only guy who wasn't a copy of someone. He was a
Yeah.
former stormtrooper that he broke the conditioning or whatever the fuck, and he was the only one who was a purely new guy that wasn't really copying another guy.
Yeah.
And they did nothing with that character. Rey
Yeah.
started out great. She was surviving on her own. She was a new character. And then halfway through that first movie, they're like, we better make her the new Luke Skywalker. It's like, why? Like, the first half an hour of Force Awakens is probably the best thing they had. And then as soon as BB-8 meets up with Rey, and I'm like, oh, here we go. From here on in, Rey is now just Luke Skywalker. That was a ruining thing. Finn, who was still new, he meets up with her. It's like, okay. They should have had Rey and Finn go off on adventures.
Yeah.
And like,
it's poor
that's
storytelling.
it.
Yeah. No, it's
And
poor
have them be
storytelling.
together.
They never gave her a cause. It's like all of a sudden she's just in this other everyone else's adventure. It's like, well, it's what's her thing? Like, I mean, if they put the planet that she was on in peril and then she tries to do something about that, that's her story then.
Yeah.
That's basic storytelling 101. They couldn't even go there. You know, the whole thing with Finn, like J.J. Abrams obviously wanted to do something with Finn in the second movie where he meets other people who are stormtroopers that have broken their conditioning too. And maybe he could have been the inspiration for them to do that. And he leads a whole team himself. They tried to shoehorn that into the third one. And it's sort of, I mean, there's a lot that's cut out of that movie. But by then it's way too late. You know, what are you going to do with that, right? Like, there's no character progression. Look, it's the same old story we always say about these sequel trilogy movies. There is no guidance. There's no leadership. There's no unifying vision to them. What you know, like, to tell the second director of the second movie, just do what you want, is ridiculous. And like, they just wanted product, and they didn't understand. They didn't understand the concept of quality of product, of storytelling, and how that brings in viewers and that brings in loyalty, rather than just a thing that says Star Wars on the title and everyone is supposed to, you know, like, drop their pants and dig in. But it's like, that's terrible, sorry, but it's like I don't like, it's crazy. Like, I feel like Star Wars is just a product that, well, obviously it's just a product to Disney, but it's like they don't have anyone at the helm like with Marvel, who sees it as more than that and understands how to amplify the drama with each successive movie, right?
Well, you know, I agree that George Lucas is the one who ruined Star Wars. And I would say, yes, the prequel, like screwing up the original trilogy, was it. You know, you could also say filming the terrible prequels. But I would say, like, he's also got a hand in these because he's the one who sold them to Disney. He didn't make sure that they were ending up in good hands. He didn't make sure that they would continue his vision or the vision of the Star Wars universe that he started. He was like, yeah, I just take the money and run. I've made my money off Star Wars. Here's $1 billion, $2 billion. I already sold them. Bye. Like, he didn't care about the legacy of Star Wars.
Yeah. The idea that they would take his ideas for 7, 8, 9 was more of a handshake deal.
Yeah.
I don't think it was built in the contract. He thought they were going to do it because they sweet talked him into it, and he got. But I mean, he made out with $4 billion. I don't feel that bad.
Yeah.
But
I feel zero bad.
Artistically, yeah, it's sort of sad. But the thing is, he never understood what to do with the movies either.
No.
He never understood what to do with Star Wars, like the prequels and like all the rest of it. He had no idea.
Yeah,
So
there's you still, and even with all this hypes that we just took, we never ever said let's erase the prequels. Like, if we take our mind back to when that happened, we just said, oh, these weren't that good, and you know, these ranging from I think I saw part 1, I thought boring, and then 2 is like, it's okay, it's cheesy dialogue, and then 3, it's like, I guess it's better, but like whatever. And the thing is, it's like, but I never said, I want to erase these from existence and just pretend they never happened and start again. And you can. Like my wife she likes Police Academy 1, 3, and 4, and then cannot watch the other ones. And I'm like, why did you not watch part 2? It's still Mahoney and all that, but that's why they went to the other police precinct or whatever.
Yeah.
I'll say this about Star Wars though. Sorry. Like if you're an old school Star Wars fan, you've already compartmentalized Star Wars because we've had to deal with canonization and decanonization throughout its entire run. Like the Marvel comics are not canon, but they're beloved. The cartoons were canon, then they weren't canon. And when I say cartoons, sorry, youngins, I mean the droids and Ewoks cartoons. They were canon. Yeah, they were canon, then they weren't canon. And I think they're kind of a mix now. The books were never canon. The expanded universe was never canon, but everyone thought they were because they were endorsed by Lucasfilm. But George Lucas himself always said in interviews, like, this isn't Star Wars. Star Wars is just the movies. Everyone chose to not believe him. And there's a lot of beloved stories from that. The Thrawn trilogy we mentioned. Also, Knights of the Old Republic. Like everyone loves like Revan and Malak and all those characters. And all the comics that resulted from all the books and novels and stuff. None of that was ever actually really canon. And like when Disney said now they're super not canon, they kind of never were. So you've always had to pick and choose what you like from Star Wars. We love the newspaper strips from the 80s and 90s,
big time.
70s and 80s. They're amazing.
They're
not
amazing.
canon.
Yeah.
They're not canon. They do dovetail into the movies just like the Marvel comics do.
Yeah.
But they're not canon. So if you like certain things from Star Wars, you're still going to consume them. You're still going to read them and love them or watch them or whatnot. We've always had to deal with that. This is a grander scale. It's the giant movies that are mainstream popular and made billions of dollars literally. To say that they're not canon is kind of crazy. You can't do that. If you do that, you're getting into Halloween territory. So I don't know. But yeah.
Well, I mean, if they want to do another trilogy, they can try. They can just ignore. If they want to ignore, at this point in time, no matter who likes what, they're going to ignore it. Best case, they just ignore it and do something else. And I don't know why you always need to. I know Star Wars, I don't know, maybe Star Wars should survive in smaller stories like Mandalorian or like I would have, if they would have kept it going somehow, I would have done like a movie just about Finn and his, like breaking through the thing and breaking the conditioning and him doing like a mini adventure. Like why do you need to always be fighting the Empire or the First Order? Like why does it always have to be this big grand thing? Like can't it just be about a character doing something cool? I don't know.
Well, for these trilogy movies, it can still be grand things. It doesn't have to always be the Empire. Like I always thought like it would be cool if you fought like fallen wills from beyond the Outer Rim or something like that. And then like traditionally good guys and bad guys from the previous trilogies would have to team up now and like for a greater cause. That would be nice, like former Imperial officers are teaming up with former like Rebel Alliance troops and stuff like that. We have a higher thing. That would be nice. That would be cool. I just want to throw in one thing. This rumor involves a canon idea from Star Wars Rebels. It was an episode called A World Between Worlds. So that's season 4. So they go to an area. It's a temple where time and space are like they're all connected as one, and Ezra saves Ahsoka Tano from being killed by Darth Vader by pulling her out of one of these portals and all that, and that was supposed to be the plot device that was going to undo the sequel movies. So it's an in-canon. It's not like they'll just say one day, okay, these are legends. It was going to be some sort of in-canon story that does it. And the rumor is that as they carry on with more Star Wars stuff, all of the Star Wars things that they're going to do going forward, like The Mandalorian, takes place between Return of the Jedi and Force Awakens. And as they move more forward into that timeline, you will notice that it doesn't seem like they're going into the First Order and stuff like that, like all the events of 7, 8, and 9. And then eventually 7, 8, and 9 will just be legends, because they'll just move forward into that territory and it'll be a new story or a new concept. That was what was going to happen.
Right.
I don't like that.
Me neither.
I don't like that Star
No.
Wars has gone this way. It's unfortunate that they didn't have a creative vision behind this trilogy. That's exactly what killed it. But I don't agree with undoing it like this.
So-
Just ignore it and just tell
Yeah.
other stories, like Jason, what you were saying.
Yeah.
Like other scoundrels or whatnot, or like or like the bureaucracy of Star Wars. I don't know.
So the way I look at it is the story starts. If you want to think of Star Wars, it's a war. It's a war trilogy, right? So it's almost like what the original trilogy was like, talking about the beginning, or the sort of like the middle to the end of World War II, and then the prequels was basically the beginning of World War II. But then you don't go into World War III in the next cycle. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That is the problem. Like, they needed to tell stories of when we weren't at war, and it's just normal life in the galaxy. And then you have all these little stories and conflicts that you can talk about. That was the problem. It was really screwed up right from the start, because they went right into the same exact concept.
Right. They could have had Finn and Rey doing adventures.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that the part of the problem too with Star Wars, not a problem, but it's just that a lot of people in Hollywood don't seem to understand it. Star Wars, yeah, it has wars in the title. It's not really a war trilogy. It was always meant to be Buck Rogers science fiction action adventure stuff. It was always like the original trilogy was really inspired by serials that were made for
Yeah.
kids and adventure science fiction magazine stuff, right? So all of that, there's no real context anymore for that. There's no nostalgia. Like we're not growing up with a generation.
Mm-hmm.
There's no generation growing up with that sort of context. George Lucas and Steven Spielberg and all those people did have that context from the 50s and earlier. So yeah, Star Wars has to be its own weird thing. Like I don't. You can try and make political thrillers or something out of Star Wars, or like or war stories, or like mundane stories, but that's not in the DNA of Star Wars. So it's going to be a challenge. You can try. You can try.
You can always
but...
you can always do like, if you're gonna have like, well, actually Sean and I came up with this one time with having the Lando and
Lando and Han Solo,
going on adventures. So they could have, if they wanted to do that, like, I mean, they're never gonna bring back Rey now because everyone just hates her. But if they were gonna do that, they could have had Rey just find a cause on her own. She has her yellow lightsaber. She abandons the Skywalker name. She just calls herself Rey, and we don't know, she's mysterious, and she helps people, sort of like the wandering thing. And there could be like some some evil entity who's attacking this planet, and then she helps them out. And it's like just the adventures of her. And then Finn can come join up with her or whatever if they wanted to, or to pick another character and do that. Like, I don't know if you can pick a character who already is established. Like, this Obi-Wan idea is an interesting idea, but I don't know how it's going to work because he's supposed to be in hiding. So I don't know how that was going to work. Like, why would he be going on adventures while he's in hiding? But maybe he changes his name, perhaps. I don't know.
Yeah.
You could do something like, see, I like the way the Mandalorian is. I don't want Mandalorian to always just be, like, if it's just going to be Lone Wolf and Cub, that's perfect. He just goes on different adventures and the child happens to be with them.
Mm-hmm.
Gives the child back, and then he goes on different adventures with different bounties. Like,
but that child is like mega money now. So
I know.
I don't know.
It's going to be.
That's the problem. It's
that's
like,
the problem, right?
He's the J.J. Walker of the. It's like all of a sudden,
we'll start to wrap this up in a minute or two. But yeah, the thing is that, like, erasing this has no point. We've seen it. Everyone's seen it. You can't get it out of your head.
Yeah.
Some people like it, some people hate it, some people like some parts of it like me, some people hate all of it, some people only hate some parts. Everyone's got their thing. Let time heal this sequel trilogy up.
Yeah.
Move on to the next thing. Don't have anyone from the sequel trilogy if you don't want to. Nobody's going to accept them anyways, and let it just go by that. And I don't know, that there's not much you can do. But going back and Terminator, because like look at Terminator. That series is a complete disaster. Halloween is a disaster.
Yeah.
It is a disaster. It was on CNN. Natural disaster. Halloween. It has destroyed communities. It's like fan communities are like shooting themselves. I can't take another reboot. Oh! It's like there's a course in university studying the timeline of the Halloween series. It's literally a course in university.
You could crack time and space if you do it. Yeah.
I know. It's just unbelievable. Watch Angry Nerds, Sarah Cinemassacres timeline, how it's like he does like a graph. And you're like, I can't understand. Like I actually understand it, oddly enough. But yeah, so final thoughts.
Don't reboot it. I mean, I know they're going to, but I think they should let it breathe. It took me 20 years to like the prequels. So it's going to take 20 years for old timers to like the sequels, and also kids growing up with these won't see the problems and they'll like them. You know, there are kids there are now adults that love the prequels because they grew up with the merchandise and playing Star Wars at recess and everything. Star Wars to them is the prequels. That doesn't actually diminish the original movies. Every time I see reactions from millennials of the original movies, they love it more than the prequels that they grew up with. So let these breathe. I mean, I know there's a whole cadre of fans right now on YouTube. You know, like we know the names, but
Yes.
they're all freaking out about this, and it's like, oh, get rid of it. It's like the body isn't even cold yet, man. It's like you know, like let it breathe for a bit. It's like you don't like it, but in a few years you'll probably learn to like it, and there's a whole generation that does as well. And also, I guess to this point as well, that these trilogy movies are around in a time of like heightened technology. So I mean, even though the internet was around when the prequels happened, and people were freaking out on blogs, there wasn't YouTube, there wasn't a big like fandom menace and all that, right? Now that there is, and you can easily have like people freaking out on YouTube, like cancel the prequels and all that stuff, or the sequels or whatnot. So they have the unfortunate existence of being around now, when it's easy to freak out, and shareholders are more important than ever before, more so than the prequels were made independently. So now shareholders are involved, and they see these knee-jerk reactions from all these like old fans, and they're like, oh my god, well, get rid of it then. It's like, whoa, do you understand how fans work? And it's like, wait 20 years. Like, 20 years? What the hell are you talking about? It's like, that's how this works. So shut up. Anyway, Steve, what's your
Steve, final?
Film is eternal, man. Film is eternal. So like, no, I think this is a great opportunity for someone to resurrect Star Wars, like to take this and make it a positive. Like it was very easy or not easy, but like when you're going off the first three, you have nowhere to go but down, because that was the best Star Wars could possibly be.
Right.
But I argue that if we didn't have the sequels, would we have had The Mandalorian, right? Would we have had this fresh take? Would we have had this opportunity to make something great of this? And think of the filmmaker who might make the next Star Wars movies and make them awesome. Like that person's going to be like great, because he's going to be like, oh my god, look at he took this and he made it awesome. So I'm hyper against it. I agree with Sean. Time is key, and like let's see if something can be positive about this. But even if it doesn't, it's a lesson on what not to do with Star Wars. So in either case, the value is too important for them to just get rid of it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
it's
don't
the
have to-
Batman and Robin of Star Wars.
I was just gonna, oh, dude, I was gonna say it's the Batman and Robin. It'll change things. But yeah, erasing it serves no purpose. We've all seen it. It's over. It's done. Also, I mean, like, yeah, time heals all wounds. We'll warm up to eventually. Or if not, you can ignore it. Watch the next thing. That's it. You need to have a vision. Even if it's a bad vision, like Batman and Robin, that was a bad vision, but it was a vision of something.
Yeah.
The sequels, there's too many visions, and they clashed. They clashed big time. So if you wanted to have Raylo or Finray or Ray and everybody, I don't know, then pick that. Like, pick one of those and then just go, you know? And it's like, you know, that's the problem. So hopefully they'll learn from their mistakes. But, okay, so we are saying, all of us together are saying, do not reboot this thing. I don't want to see Sarah, I don't want to see Terminator go back and say, you know, to Luke, you know, come with me if you want to live, Luke. But all right, so I think that went pretty good. I guess we'll wrap it up. And let us know in the comments what you think. Should it be rebooted or not? Let us know why. All right. Thanks so much for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.